How are you today?
Hey, Shar, I'm good. How are you?
Man, I couldn't wait for this webinar. I know Monday we talked about it, but I'm so excited because I feel like this is really something that has what I consider the meat of what coaching businesses could be more successful with as we talk today.
Actual tangible takeaways. That's what we do here every day, all day.
That's the only thing we do, guys. You don't understand. We literally deliberate on what can help them. We take it from our own clients' experiences. We take it from our own experiences of having coaches and being coached. We just know that this is what is going to help you really move that needle. And so, Ty, today the topic that this isn't just another pep rally, which you and I love. We love pep rallies. We love to cheer them on. We love that, but that's not going to help them move the needle.
No, I mean, there's a time and a space for it. Yeah, it's great. Like, get a little excited, listen to those inspirational YouTubers or those videos that people are yelling and screaming at you, and like, yeah, you feel great about it, but then you have to do something, right? So we're on the blueprint side now. We're on like, here are the steps to build a profitable coaching company.
Well, and this is kind of where we start, guys. We want to have you hear us say to you, we get where you are. We understand the pain. We understand what it takes. But there's a couple of key things that really what we consider, if we don't acknowledge that as we teach you in this webinar today, what that blueprint is, we're going to either stay stuck or you're going to ignore us completely because you know everything that you need to do in your business. And so we just really want to talk to those who are going to allow us to call you out on what's not working. And so, Ty, when you're talking to, coaches and you're helping them build their business, have you seen this lack of actionable guidance missing from their blueprint?
Yeah, and usually that comes because either the where they're getting their source is from isn't really knowledgeable or as skilled with that coach's business, or they don't necessarily know very clearly what they're looking for, so they're just in that space of gray. And so there's a number of reasons why the most motivational rallies fail coaches, right? There's no focus. People are selling hype and emotion, and that is a sales tactic, right? When you get somebody
Right.
to an emotional high, you make a sale. But what did you buy? And that's where there's a disconnect. You're not doing the due diligence necessary to figure out the thing that you're buying. Is it going to help me? Is it going to convert? Is it customizable to my business? Are they tools that I can use? Do they have templates I can learn from? Like, none of that happens. You just get the motivation, the
Right.
excitement, and you buy, and you have no idea what you bought. And sadly, some coaches manipulate the system with this. They focus on the pep so that they can make the sale, and they know they don't have substance underneath there. And so the person, it's just a one-time sale for them. And so that's really where you have to be hyper focused on, you as a coach, what are you selling to your clients? And we've said this on these workshops before, Shar. We've said it over and over again. It's about substance, quality, and getting to the result. Get to the result, and then the result will sell you moving forward. If you keep striving for the one-off sale because it's a hype or it's an energy thing, or it's you sharing a story but there's no takeaways in that story, then you're going to make a one-time sale. You're not going to have repeatable business. And when we're building a coaching business or any business, it's about that recurring revenue. It's about, how do we make repeatable business to have a valuation on the company to sell it in 5, 10, 15 years.
Well, and some of you guys are building this as a side hustle, and many of you guys are not looking at your business as a full-time business. So you're taking on 1 or 2 clients. Maybe you guys are still working full-time. And so you're trying to understand, well, how can I replace my income? And this is why this part of our webinar today is critical, because it's a mindset. To be a profitable coach does not mean that you start off with 100 free clients. You need to know who your ideal client profile is. You need to have a strategy. You definitely need to have, I consider mentors, coaches. I consider business partners, my way of doing business better, because they've been there, done that. And Ty, you and I have seen this mindset as you've always said it on our lives. The mindset to be successful is literally that shift from where they've been and where they are today.
And to your point, it is about starting with working on the business, right? Making sure you say, okay, I might be working as a side hustle. This might be part-time for now, but guess what? This is my path to making it full-time. This is my path to growing and scaling it. This is my path to bringing on new team members or shifting to a different model. Like, you lay that path out, you set milestones, you make it a real business. It can be done as a side hustle, it can be done part-time, but you have to have a path that goes from there to somewhere else in perpetuity as a side hustle or a part-time. Why even do it? There are other ways to put your money in the stock market, put your money in other investments. There are other ways to get money if you're just going to continuously and perpetually have a side hustle, versus this side hustle has to be your gateway, your path to freedom. That is why you want to be a coach. You want to have the freedom of time, the freedom of money. This and so looking at a multi-year trajectory as to how you get there over time once you start with specific action items and steps. That's how you work on the business up front, and you keep checking on the business as you're in the business over the course of that trajectory.
Well, and guys, as we look at where you are, believe me, we've all started there, right? This was an idea. This was like, hey, I'm gonna go do this. Your fans are cheering you on, your friends are cheering you on, and then you get to this place where you're like, I want more of it. That is the moment that you have to ask yourself, well, what is a profitable coaching business look like? Because it wasn't the 1-2 hustle. It wasn't because your friend said, hey, by the way, I have a problem. Can you coach me in my career path? That's that moment when you go, I want more. And Ty, we've seen this time and time again that certain models don't work in the longevity of a successful business model to move forward into profitability. So here's a couple of these situations that many of you will find yourself in.
When you start off, you do start off as a coach, typically in the one-to-one cycle. You start off because somebody's come to you for advice, or you've decided to transition out of your job and you pick up one-to-one clients. That's how you validate your methodology, you validate your theories, you put systems and processes in place, because one client turns into 2, you get results, you turn into 4, it turns into 8, and so on. But when you get to a threshold at some point, you can't keep your calendar blocked, right? Coaches then say, oh, I don't have time. Like, I'm running out of time to coach because I have to spend time on marketing, or I'm running out of time on marketing because I'm doing all the coaching. And that's when you start this growth process. That's when you bring in a VA to help you with some admin work. And that's when you have to start thinking, okay, I'm still doing a job. I've just switched out my corporate job for another job because I'm trading time for money. This is the threshold at which you say, okay, I need to shift from one-on-one coaching into group coaching. How can I maximize the bodies and the attention and the people that are engaged in my business in a way where I can reduce the time that I spend delivering and increase the time that I can attract more people? So on the business side of coaching, you want to say, okay, I'm going to keep a few one-to-ones, and then I'm going to transition into coaching because I'm getting more attention, more people. Okay. And then you move into the place where it's like, okay, now I have so many people. Even with group coaching, I can't do it all. I have to run the business, I have to do the financial modeling, I have to go out and market, I have to be on podcasts, I have to go to stages. So I'm going to bring in other people now who can follow my methodology and coach under me. And that's the support coaching model, right? So they learn your methodology, they're able to handle the group calls and take a few of the one-to-ones while you're on the road marketing the business and getting more people attuned and educated to your impact. Now, all of this works, and this is an evolutionary path, as we've talked through. And then you move into coaching with the community. Now, coaching with the community is where everybody now either has been in your program, been through your program, or thinking about your program, but they're all in a container. They're in a space where they all live, and they start sharing advice. This is where you drop a question at the beginning of the week, and then they start all responding to each other, and then they start saying, oh, you do this, you know this, and the group starts coaching others, peer-to-peer coaching. Everybody's like energized, they're getting the value that they need, they're having one-off conversations. All of this stuff is happening. That is coaching with the community. And then finally, all of this has worked for you. You've done it over and over again. It's a repeatable model. You're saying the same thing on calls over and over now. That's when it starts getting recorded, polished, and put into a stream of videos. And now you have a course. And that's the evolution of the entire coaching model.
And guys, you're not going to get there overnight. I just want to make sure what Ty just said to you, that you didn't hear like, oh my gosh, here's another overwhelming moment. We just want to give you options and choices, because if you stay stuck where you are, 12 months from now, you're going to be where you are. You're going to come to CoachCon and you're going to hear us again, and you're going to think, man, I just wasted 3 months of my life and I didn't move. And we're going to say, yes, you did. Right? We're here to be your accountability, kind of like just all truth, right? Just making sure we're serving you. But one of these other models are going to be better than where you are right now. That's the reason why Ty has gone in depth of explaining what some of these look like, because your clients want more of you.
And if we go back to the trajectory that we just talked about, right? You may be this may be a side hustle. You can't do support coaching models as a side hustle, right? You have to do one-to-one coaching. And even group coaching is a bit of a stretch. You need more time to focus on group coaching. It can't all be a side hustle. So this is where we said, okay, work on the business up front, figure out what your 5-year or your multi-year trajectory looks like, and then figure out at what point in that cycle do you hit these milestones. So wherever you are now, you're starting one-to-one, or maybe you have successfully done a group. Then the question becomes, okay, at what point, 3, 6, 7, 12 months from now, do I start the community? Do I bring on support? Do I start my online courses? Like, it's not all happening at once. It's a plan, a roadmap for you to get there.
So guys, when we look at, maybe a situation you're currently in, we want to really bring this home. And when Ty and I were backstage, I said, I really want to deliver on the very practical side of this, very tangible side of this, because Ty and I know that that's where you're going to take that next step. So we just want to kind of really look at your business where you are. And we want to ask you these questions because many of you start off with one-on-one clients. Some of you will do this big, like, hey, I want to go into group coaching because now you've got 5 and you're realizing like, oh, I like this. I can make $100 per person. And now that means I'm getting paid $500 per hour. Like, we get it. We know the math. But here's the thing. And I'm going to focus on the last one of this is building reoccurring revenue. This is not taught by anyone in the industry because it's very transactional, right? Coaching is just a window of time. It's a 90-day sprint. You guys are providing services. But we want to kind of tell you from Ty's experience, and then of course me right after, with what we've done in our own businesses, as well as hopefully share 1 or 2 maybe similar stories that you're going through, because we are still being coached. Like, Ty and I have our own coaching that happens to us. That's great. And then we have our coaching clients that we coach too. So we don't want to tell you all of these things because we read a book. It's because Ty and I are actually doing it and living it. So Ty, go ahead, go first, because I know you're here to give them substance. I know you're here to give them practical strategy to implement.
So as Shar said, looking at going from one-to-one to group coaching or an online model does require you to, first and foremost, refine your methodology. I recently worked with a coach who transitioned because when she started, she initially had that concept, I want to coach people who are frustrated with their corporate careers. It's like, I allowed her to do it on her own, not allowed her, but I let her do it on her own. But the reality is that when she discovered that was going to be a very negative space to be in, to live in all the time, it was a very challenging avatar. Those are very difficult people. After doing it one-on-one, she realized, I don't necessarily want to spend my day in this space. And she transitioned now to women who wanted to seek a better life. Small change. Frustrated versus seeking. Frustrated is just, I live in the negative now, versus seeking is, I see the future positive. And so she decided she would pivot slightly, redefine the avatar, and moved into that, continued her same methodology, but with a few language changes, and was able to go from one-to-one now and map a group coaching program. Now, when we go through the cycle of what it takes to get to a group coaching program, a lot of people are thinking, I want a 12-month program because I got 12 months of recurring revenue. Guess what? People still need to make sure that when they come into a group coaching program, they're getting results. Their needs are being met, they're getting results, and they want to continue on with you. And so what I tell my clients is, I was like, try a 6-month program. Figure out the amount of time it would take you to get a transformation, and then add a few months to that transformation so you can digest and work on your second transformation. But people will reinvest if they've gotten a transformation, if they've gotten an actual change, if their expectations have been met at phase 1, and then you can continue to phase 2, 3, and 4. Give yourself a grace period of a couple months past that first transformation in case it gets delayed, in case life happens. But make your first program 6 months, build your recurring revenue, stand firm on your commitment and your quality, and then continue another 6 months with an incentive to renew. If you want to, after you've done that for a while and make sure people are getting the results that they see, getting the results that you told them they would get, you can offer a 12-month program at a discounted price if somebody wants to jump the gun or commit to a full 12 months. But it usually is on the back of getting that first win and seeing that there's multiple wins left in them.
Well, and guys, I want you to understand, and Ty, many people are going to see this for the first time, and many of our fans are going to see this over and over. the transition point for your client, and I just want to be super clear, is that she had to make small changes to attract a different client. And I don't know if you guys caught that in her content, in her words, in her ask, right? When you're aligning the ICP, your ideal client profile, your avatar, those are all changes that if she didn't go through her experience, she wouldn't have known the difference. So we just
Correct.
don't want to make you feel like, well, great guys, now I missed the whole no.
Yeah.
We are just here on the outside because we're not married to the problem. We're outside of the problem looking in.
I've seen a lot of coaches start with the group program or start with the online and think, I've got something I want to share with the world. And they build it up. And guess what? They put it to market and it flatlines because they didn't take the time to refine it with the one-on-one process.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't take the time to actually figure out, does this make sense? Does this resonate? Does this connect? They didn't have the calls. Even as we built CoachCon, and I told you guys I've been working on this for 3 years. Even before we built CoachCon, I had numerous conversations with coaches, with partners to say, is this a value? Does this make sense? And I got the enough ahas to say, let's do it. Let's finally pull the trigger. Let's go to market and let's build the first one.
Now, I'll come from a different angle, guys. I remember when I first started my coaching business, literally, it was kind of funny because I just kind of happened to stumble upon it, which many of you do. And Ty, this was kind of my scenario. Well, Charlene, I know I want to do what you're doing. And so I was like, I don't know. I don't have a playbook. I don't have a book. I just kind of stumbled upon it. And so I was trying to replicate, guys, what I was doing for myself to teach someone else. And so what I had to understand was that I spent decades in school, decades in the job market, decades being a business owner in order for me to deliver to this client, oh, I want what you want. And I'm thinking, it ain't going to happen in 30-day coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get really clear, just like Ty was saying, like, add a couple of months after so that true transformation can happen. Sometimes it's not going to be a one and done class. You probably have to be realistic and say, if you're not doing these things, you're not a good fit for me. And so it helped me understand that I was setting a false expectation for my client. And this was a big failure, that she was going to get what I had that took me decades to get. So I had to turn it around and say, these are the kind of clients that I want to work with. And because it was my time and my giving to them, I could say, you have to be in a high income job if you're trying to transition into an entrepreneur, because I couldn't serve them. And Ty, I never want anyone to take this because now that it's on the World Wide Web, you got to be making 7 figures before you talk to Char. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when they want to get to where I am, I've had to spend time, money, effort, travel, right? I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that gets made into what we have done and who we are and where we are. And so setting those expectations, guys, besides what you want to build, especially when a customer is coming to you and saying, I want you what you have, please teach me. There's not all the things you can show them, because I'm sure they're not going to understand, why would you spend 10 years doing this? Or why would you have gotten a degree? Or why did you, have this kind of job? So you got to have a baseline of your coaching.
A lot of that gets missed, Char. And people think, oh, you're a new coach, you're just starting out, you should be like $25 an hour, right? Here, the reality is all those things on the wall, all those things on that shelf, all those things are the reason that I'm a coach, right? All of those things happen, whether I said I was a coach or whether I was working through corporate America into entrepreneurship. But I was building myself, I was building my methodology, I was building my experience, I was building my resume. All of those things contribute. So my ability to charge you $500 or $600 an hour isn't me abstractly pulling from thin air and saying, I deserve this. It's like, I earned it. I worked for it. Whether titled coach or entrepreneur or serial entrepreneur or corporate professional or SVP, it doesn't matter. I worked it, I earned it, and now I'm giving you 25 years of experience, knowledge, failures, so that you can accelerate your path and not do it in 25 years, but rather in 4 or 5.
So guys, as we kind of deep dive, this is the next part of our webinar that we're going to spend a couple of more minutes on, because we want to show you the how do you make that decision. And, Ty, you and I have been in many programs where they hold back the how, right? That's going to be the $10,000 program. We're not doing that. We want you to come to CoachCon. We want you to connect with us on LinkedIn. We want you to show up and say, I want to solve this problem. Help me do this. And that's why Ty has envision this CoachCon to really being the solution that coaches around the world need. So this is a perfectly designed, quick, like, let's just start from the top, because Ty, I don't ever want to overwhelm someone who's watching our webinar or the replay to feel like, now I got to go buy 15 self-help books, you know what I mean? And just start from ground zero. So how can they start? How can they choose this better way of doing business?
So, it starts with figuring out who, again, is your avatar, what you want to coach on, who you want to work with, what your avatar is what the biggest gap in the market for that particular group is, your ability to coach to that gap, and then your ability to share that message in a concise and digestible, easy way with the audience, right? And so really understanding, I want to work with impactful leaders who are in that space of transition. Number one, I realize that those impactful leaders feel overwhelmed. I have gone through that overwhelmed feeling 7 times in my career as I've transitioned up the corporate ladder, and these are the things I did to get out of it. I think that I can package a program that gives people over 7 months, 7 steps that they can use, practice, and employ. And then I'm going to tell the market I have a 7-step program to overcoming overwhelm. Those are the steps right there.
Okay, guys. So I want to just add the sprinkles to the amazing Sunday that Ty has just scooped out and made happen. You're not going to get there on your own, and you're definitely not going to get there in the time you think, because you are going to have mindset things. You're going to have money. All these things are going to get unpacked. But we want you to just start today somewhere to make that small shift. And Ty, I think it would be a success if they just ask themselves, what audience, who's the customer I want to, if you just ask yourself that one question today, right, Ty, it would be a success. Yep. Because you're going to do it differently.
That I want to serve. And here's a couple of things to that question, Shar. Number one, who the audience you want to serve is, you have to have a connection to that audience, right? I can't necessarily serve single mothers who are looking for childcare, like that. It would be hard for me to explain why I chose that avatar and how I resonate with it. But I can serve leaders, I can serve entrepreneurs, I can serve corporate professionals. I have a connection to those things. The second thing is that you are spending, at least in the one-to-one phase, a lot of your day and time with that avatar. And so you want to make sure that your conversations are going to flow, that you have enough material, that you want to spend time talking about this stuff because you've lived it and you are passionate about it. You don't want to build a business where you have to constantly figure out how to engage your client because you don't have a connection with them, right? So one, do you actually connect with the client? And two, do you want to spend time with that person once you build a business and you have a business going around that avatar? So those are 2 key factors you want to consider when you ask your question, who is it that I want to serve?
And guys, I promise you, if you could just do that one thing today, you have been more successful in the last 18 months, 2 years of you trying to build this coaching business. We just want you to start somewhere along the way so that you can make a better decision as you continue to improve your business practice as a coach, because it's not going to get smooth. I mean, Ty, you and I could probably have war stories that we can share with everyone. That's not the point of why we're doing it. We're just trying to tell you that these key things right here, these 4 things, will sit you on a different trajectory than you would have if you try to read 15 more self-help books. Try to, and Ty, I want to say this nicely, ask your friend or your neighbor or a person who's not in business what you should do. We're trying to avoid all of that, because at the end of the day, we want you to have a profitable business that you're building.
Yeah. I mean, again, starting with the end in mind, right? If you want to sell this in 5 years, in 10 years, or you want to pass it on, you bring in another partner and grow it to scale and then IPO, like all of the exits that you could possibly think of, whatever that exit is, you need to start now and you have to build it with that trajectory in mind. And so as you do that, again, it's lead generation, it's service delivery. Getting lead generation is, your avatar and you're speaking only to your avatar and you're bringing in that avatar every single time, right? You're nailing that lead generation part. Service delivery, as we said, you're delivering the methodology. People are getting results. There's actual transformation. and people are seeing that this is for them, and they're telling their friends about it. Your service delivery means that people are getting the results that they came for. And client retention is you're giving people options to stay, right? You're going from your 6-month program to a rollover 6-month program to a possible 12-month program to a course to a group, a community. You're bringing in additional coaches. You're giving people a reason to stay. And they're also staying because they're getting transformation, right? So lead generation, service delivery, client retention, you get this formula right, you will build a multi-year business, or you will build a profitable business with recurring revenue in a multi-year pattern.
So when you're looking at your business, guys, and you're looking at this, next step for profitability, we're just giving you, of course, some, of the strategies, as you continue to grow. We just want you to know that until you know how clear you are and what model you're going to run, you will not do these steps because it doesn't make sense to you. Like the lead generation won't make sense to you. Writing out the customer journey won't make sense to you. Being able to keep your clients, engage with you and retain them and upsell them won't make sense to you. So these are the things when you look at a profitable coaching business, these are just models that we add on in the process of building a profitable business.
Yes. This is the path. This is what did we start with? The blueprint? This is the blueprint. Get this right. You're on your way to a profitable business. There are a couple of things more, but this is where you start. This is the blueprint.
Well, and Ty, that's why I was like, look at him. You see what I mean, guys? You don't understand. When Ty had this vision years ago about CoachCon, I'm 100% sure that came because of his experience, his clients, his expertise, his professional career, and moving into this role of being the founder behind CoachCon, helping so many coaches get through this quicker, smarter, faster. I am sure, Ty, and if you want to admit to this, I'd be so happy that everyone could hear it, that you wish you had this when you started.
100%. CoachCon is birthed because there's so many, not even just when I started. I wanted to be able to give other new coaches that are starting a place to go to start. CoachCon was birthed because there's such a gap in the market. There is so much failure as people build their coaching stages, businesses under $1 million in revenue. There's so much that goes wrong. There's so much noise. There's so much that's not put into place in the correct way, in the right time. I wanted to fix that. I wanted a community really to fix that so that people felt, one, that they had the tools, resources, two, that they were not doing it alone, that they had support in building it, and three, that they could keep getting a consistent source of real substantive material that they can use for their business and not the hype and the fluff that's in the market that people are selling on emotion and not giving anything to get results or transformation afterwards.
And guys, this is the reason why CoachCon is here for you. We have an upcoming 3-day challenge next week. We've got CoachCon coming up with some dynamic speakers. Ty, I just want them to hear from you how powerful you have curated speakers, curated the experience, curated what people are going to get delivered.
Guys, we get a request for speakers every week. Every week we get somebody saying, I want to speak, I want to speak, I want to speak. And we are literally 3 CoachCons out, right? So this inaugural CoachCon on September 16th and 17th of this year, the business of coaching really caters to those coaches. And we'll also have some founders and some businesses in here as well who are starting their business. This caters to those people who want to learn the business of coaching, how to understand how to build a business from sales, marketing, finance, that how do you not burn out, but how do you also speak with a strong voice? How do you step onto a stage? All of these things are now being packaged so that you have really specific actionable items that you can take away and build your business. And working with your CEO or your coach in the room, or your clients in the room as you go through CoachCon, that's what this is about, a side-by-side collaborative way to build the business. Now, next time we do CoachCon in December, it's going to be the journey of wellness, or the journey to wellness, sorry. And that's our health and wellness approach to CoachCon. So it's for those coaches and those folks who want to really focus on the health and wellness part of coaching. And then the future one, we're going to talk about life. Now, I say all this to say CoachCon is here. We're curating every experience in a unique way for every single avatar that we want to serve. Ultimately, we want to serve the entire coaching industry and all small businesses, but we're starting off with the business of coaching to get get this first one right, get everybody on board, bring folks to the table and show them what this could do for them.
And guys, we just want you to come with the willingness. If we can get you at 1 to 2% willing to change just one part of it, we've been successful and you've been successful. We just want to invite you to understand that these are things that help coaches in all phases of their business. And Ty, I wish we could do CoachCon, even more, but we just can't, because there has to be some sort of like takeaway and go and do it. So guys, I cannot believe what Ty has done to build this, to manifest this, to then curate the people that he's brought. So Ty, again, thank you so much. And to the success of CoachCon, everybody, we are inviting you and peers like you, I'm sure, have this desire to coach people to whatever success, whatever dream that they've got. And again, Ty, thank you so much for making this possible.
Thank you, Shar. It's not just me. It's our team. It's our partnership. It's you. This is part of the journey, and this is what we mean. Like, we really just want to give value. We want to give coaches an opportunity to learn from other coaches. We want to put people in a space where there's a low barrier to entry, and we want to give real coaches and businesses a fighting chance to grow and scale to their fullest potential. And that's why we're here. That's the only reason why we're here. So come visit us at CoachCon, www.coachcon.global. We would love to have you learn some more, see our speakers, and then see you on the 16th.
Thank you so much, everybody.